Splatoon is the newest character IP to come out of Nintendo in recent years. Before Splatoon came out, the last brand new IP from Nintendo was the Pikmin series, and that was back on the Nintendo GameCube about 14 years ago. And so that got me thinking, because Splatoon's been doing really well on the Wii U. It sold over 1.5 million copies already, and it's been out for a few months. It's been received extremely well, and it got me thinking about how the game came from this brainstorming idea to this final product that's become just so well received on the Wii U. And so that's why we're going to be talking about the development and the, progression of the Splatoon game from beta all the way to the final game in this episode of Beta Zone. Splatoon was developed by Nintendo Entertainment Analysis and Development. That was filled by staff members that worked on different parts of the Wii U launch system. Nintendo Entertainment Analysis and Development is a team that usually is in charge of creating new games with already established characters. But the idea for Splatoon as a brand new character IP did not start as actually creating a brand new character, but rather a new game type. Development started in mid-2013 when Shintaro Sato created a 4v4 ink territory concept game. The game featured 4 cube objects with a nose that could shoot ink on a flat map course. The character models at the time were jokingly referenced to as tofu. In later iterations of the beta, the block-like characters started to take on the shape of humanoid characters. This brought up other problems with the game. Staff members thought that the ability to switch between block characters and the humanoid characters ruined the hiding in the ink mechanic of the game. Additionally, creating the humanoid characters added a sense of depth to the stage maps. This caused the staff to question the walls on the map because technically they didn't contribute to the final score of the game. At this time too, the over-the-top map was actually displayed on the TV rather than the gamepad. It was actually the opposite of what it is today. The player would actually see the 3D gameplay on the gamepad instead of the TV. After the humanoid characters, the staff members messed around with the idea of having Mario in the game, but they felt like Mario just didn't fit the theme of this game. At the time, the staff members actually forgot that Mario started in his own ink-like game called Super Mario Sunshine that featured a similar like ink style with the flood mechanic. The next redesign of the character was into a rabbit. The design of the rabbit would allow players to easily be seen because of the rabbit's ear size. The staff members also liked the idea that usually rabbits are white and thought that it would be cool to see all the different colored ink splattered on top of the rabbit. The dev staff took this new rabbit prototype to the sales and promotion team at Nintendo in November 2013. The sales team thought the game was fun but asked why the rabbits were shooting ink in the first place, and the Splatoon dev team really couldn't explain it, so they went back to the drawing board for the character design. After a lot of thinking, Tsubasa Sakaguchi came up with the squid, as it made sense that they squirt ink naturally. This idea started to solve the rest of the game's problems. The squid could swim in ink and thus fix the issues they had with the wall before. These new squid characters could use the ink wands to travel around and ambush other characters in the game. The staff also wanted to bring back the humanoid character, but rather than making a separate character, they combined all the traits of the squid with the humanoid character and made one single character. At first, this new humanoid squid was actually just a squid that walked like a human, and not the way it is today. They eventually changed the squid humanoid into what we know today as the Inkling. This also provided much more customization features for the player. The idea for street fashion customization for the Inklings came from a staff member's personal interest in the fashion style. The rock music that we all know and love from Splatoon was actually created because a staff member imagined this whole turf war setting to be cool and rebellious, almost comparable to skateboarding. Yoso Kamano was also the staff member that pitched the idea of a festival in the game where teams could be created in a competition. This idea eventually became the Splatfest events that we all know and love. By June 2014 at E3 2014, the staff created a new demo and an announcement trailer to show off the game at the show floor. At this time, the game was only actually 10% done, and had only one working stage and one weapon. The rest of the 10 months after E3 was used to create new maps, weapons, and balance all the new weapons on these new stages. This was also the time where the single player mode and the local multiplayer mode was created. These new game modes were more specifically made for players that didn't feel comfortable jumping straight into online multiplayer from the get-go. The whole concept of Splatoon being an online multiplayer game actually came from the fact that a lot of the people on the staff team are young game developers who play a lot of shooters like Call of Duty and Battlefield on other hardware platforms. Now if we take a look at the E3 2014 announcement trailer, we can see that a lot of stuff has changed with the final version of the game. At the very start of the trailer, you can right away notice that the coloring of the gameplay is a lot more dark and sort of more saturated compared to their gameplay in the final build. We can also see a bunch of the first stages in Splatoon in beta form, and boy do they look different. Salt Spray Rig, Urchin Underpass, Arowana Mall, and Walleye Warehouse all got cosmetic changes. The maps in the E3 trailer look completely different, with even some of them looking twice as big as they do now. Urchin Underpass is missing the entire second floor hallways at the very beginning of each side of the stage. Salt Spray Rig has a lot less walls and crates all over the place. Walleye Warehouse is also more of an open area with crates being moved from across the map, and Arowana Moss seems to be much larger in size compared to the final version of the game. One thing I also noticed from the beta is the fact that when you start a match, the transformation between Squid and Inkling is slightly different in the final version of the game. It seems that in the beta, the eyes would pop out more right when you turn into an Inkling form. And that's the history of Splatoon's development, a pretty interesting look at just how the idea was developed into possibly one of the best games on the Nintendo Wii U. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it on Facebook and Twitter, as it really helps the channel grow. If you have your own suggestions for new episodes, be sure to leave them in the comment section below as well. Besides that, here are 2 new videos I uploaded recently. One of them is a review of the Rare Replay, and the other one is the evolution of the Sonic the Hedgehog series. If you like the channel, consider clicking that subscribe button, and if you want to support me in other ways, there's a Patreon link in the description below. Thank you all for being some awesome viewers, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.